Hello, I'm Jake Boudrot, Civic Journalist at Tello Community Television. Today, I'm joined by Gina MacDonald, Program Director with Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health. Welcome, Gina. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I guess let's start at the beginning. Maybe you can describe Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health for those who might not be familiar with your group.
Sure. Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health is a community nonprofit organization. It was started in 2020 by members of the community, the business community, Richmond County councillors, recognizing the relationship and the shared services between the municipality of the County of Richmond and the town of Port Hawkesbury. They decided to create a regional presence to recruit and retain healthcare professionals in this region, and we've been growing ever since 2020.
So maybe you could talk about how the group has changed over time.
We really managed to find a good footing within the Lordways Clinic administration of our finances and organization of the group itself. We receive a lot of support from the community, and the more well-known we become, the more support we receive. So what started as more of an idea and a concept of wanting to retain and recruit healthcare professionals has turned more into the actual action of doing that in cooperation with Nova Scotia Health and the Department of Health and Wellness and local stakeholders and businesses. We're able to actually see the needle move as far as numbers are concerned.
Now, when I spoke to the warden, Amanda Mumbercat, one of the things I mentioned was it seems that a lot of what the group is doing is selling the area as a place to live and work. Selling may not be a great term, maybe promoting or marketing might be more appropriate, but would you agree with that?
I would, and I don't even think selling is an inappropriate term. I think that's exactly what we have to do. The Department of Health and Wellness and Nova Scotia Health both work to promote the province of Nova Scotia. It's very difficult for an area like ours, without a lot of facilities and without a lot of providers, to get the word out that we're here. And so we have really made an effort to work for this particular area. So we call ourselves Cape Breton South, but it's essentially the entire county of Richmond and the town of Port Hawkesbury. And when I go to different job fairs and recruitment events, when I speak to people from across the country, all of the work that I do is in an effort to get people here to Cape Breton South. So as much as we, everybody loves a picture of Cape Breton with the Cabot Trail, but we're not trying to sell the Cabot Trail. We're trying to sell living in the town of Port Hawkesbury, being able to go to the Civic Center, living in Richmond County, going to Point Michaud Beach, all of the things that we have that are unique to our area. That's what we're trying to sell to all of the providers that don't live here.
In the presentation that you made to council, one of the things you detailed was the number of conferences and events that you guys attend. I couldn't even estimate how many it was in the last year, but that seems to be a lot of what you guys have to do.
Well, it's really important because the doctors and nurses and lab techs are not going to fall out of the sky. And so we have to go out and get them. And that's what our attendance at these conferences is for. The connections that we make with other recruitment and retention professionals is maybe just as important as the ones that we make with actual candidates, because we're able to see what works, we're able to see what pockets of healthcare professionals we might not have tapped into, and we're able to see what strategies they use that they've had success with. So the ones that are across Canada, we tend not to attend a lot of those just because of the expense involved in attending. But the ones within the province of Nova Scotia, especially the ones that involve organizations that we work with on a regular basis, we do attend all of those in an effort to get our name out and to especially maintain those relationships with the organizations and with the Dalhousie medical students.
Now, I know you guys are competing with other jurisdictions to attract healthcare professionals. And it's not an easy task, but how successful have you been in doing that?
I don't find this area difficult to sell because I don't have to pretend to like it. I live here because I want to live here, and so it's not really difficult for me to convince others that this is where they should live because of all of us who live here by choice. So in terms of actual numbers, we have had 4 new physicians start since I started in 2021, but I think that the real success has been with the Strait Richmond Hospital. They have recruited, I believe, over 25 new nurses just in the past 18 months and have made a lot of strides in strengthening the workforce and being able to retain the people that they have recruited. I don't take any credit for that, but I think that our support in helping to find housing and childcare and spousal employment and making them feel welcome and introducing them to the community has probably contributed quite a bit to them staying and accepting full-time positions here.
Maybe you can talk about the need for recruiting. There's shortages of healthcare professionals in the region, and there is a need to get more of them here, and maybe you can talk about that.
Like you said, we don't want to say that we're competing with anybody, but essentially we are. Like I said, the Department of Health and Wellness promotes Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia Health is, as long as somebody is practicing in the province of Nova Scotia, that's seen as a win. And when they leave one community and go to another, it's not seen as a loss. But as you know, it's very much seen as a loss to the community. So we really concentrate on making sure that people here are comfortable so that we keep them, because we know that when there is a shortage, you're going to get long waits at the emergency department at the Strait Richmond. You're going to get long waits to see your primary health care provider. And so we are very aware of the shortages that we have. We're doing our best to work with the departments who control the number of healthcare professionals we bring in. At the same time, we're also concentrating a lot on allied healthcare. When you have a strong allied healthcare workforce, you are much more likely to retain doctors and nurses and to attract doctors and nurses. So although a lot of organizations similar to ours across the province concentrate only on recruiting physicians, we concentrate on recruiting and retaining all healthcare professionals, knowing how much more of a robust healthcare system we will have in this area if we have the lab techs and x-ray techs and social workers and everything to support the physicians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and taking off from what you're saying there, doctors are important, but without that support team, healthcare essentially collapses.
It does, and especially when we are in such a crisis all across the country, we have to take measures, and we have to find resources for the people in our communities in the absence of the physicians, because they are not going to all come in clusters of 25 to these communities. We have to make sure that if people can't get in to see their family doctor for 3 weeks, that they're able to get the health care that they need that will, at the very minimum, hold them over until they can get in to see that. So that's one of the things that we have been focused on more in the past year, is making sure that the community has the resources to get the health care that they need, because at the end of the day, that is the mandate and the mission statement of Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health, is that the community members of Cape Breton South have access to the health care that they need.
Now, when you went to Richmond Council in May, you requested, I believe it was $20,000 for operational funding. Maybe you can describe what that entails.
It was actually $30,000. Our funding model, as a nonprofit, we do receive money from the Office of Healthcare Professionals Recruitment. That is very project specific. So they do not give us money for, email address hosting. And if I want to go to one of the conferences, they give us money for specific projects, which we use down to the dollar. However, recognizing that in order to have a dedicated employee to be able to do it, to be able to do the operational functions that are required for a group like this, and to be able to do the unexpected, unaccounted for things that we don't have funding for, both the municipality and the town of Port Hawkesbury have partnered to fill in that gap, and they've been very generous with our group to give us funding for the past, I believe, 4 years in a row.
And taking off from what you're saying there, it's helpful to have municipal partners who are recognizing the need to recruit healthcare professionals, and the fact that they've bought in to what you guys are doing is a big help.
We are, having gone around the province and having spoken to my counterparts, we are extremely fortunate here to have the municipal support that we do, and especially the cooperation between two municipal units. There are a great many municipalities across this province who wish that their municipal government would give them money to fund a position to concentrate on healthcare, and they struggle because that funding does not exist. So the fact that we have any municipal funding is a testament to how important it is to all of the councillors in the area. The fact that we have two municipal units working together to make sure that it's funded properly and to make sure that we have what we need it really speaks to how important healthcare is to both of those municipal units for sure.
And of course, can't leave the province out. They play an integral role in what you guys are doing, and the fact this government seems to be concentrating heavily on healthcare must be a help for you guys.
It's extremely helpful. The Office of Healthcare Professionals Recruitment is a new office that I believe it's in its second year. It's going into its third year. That is dedicated funding specifically for the work that we do, specifically for recruitment and retention, and it's a pocket of funding that did not exist for groups like mine before. So the government has done a great job of putting its money where its mouth has been throughout the course of my time with Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health, and I really, really hope that that continues, because I think that they've seen a lot of rewards from the work that we've done, and they realize the value in the work that communities do to helping with recruitment and retention.
Now, when we were talking earlier, you mentioned how the group has changed somewhat from when it was formed, and you kind of came in 2021, and it was a bit of a change there. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think when any group starts, you have a good idea of what you want, but it usually takes a while to really start to take steps to get there. There was somebody working in my position before I started. She did an excellent job, and she did a lot of the groundwork that I didn't have to do when I moved into it. So a lot of the foundation was laid when I started in 2021, and we were able to really kind of pick up some momentum and work extremely hard on the goals that had been set from the very beginning that maybe had to take a back seat to the actual formation of the group and the establishment of the group.
Now, I asked you earlier to kind of talk about the group. For those who might not be aware of it, there probably are some. I'm sure there's many people who know about your group, but what do you think are the things that maybe people don't know about your group, people might be unaware of?
I have found, and I know that it's very difficult within the whole spectrum of healthcare to be able to decipher who is who. A lot of people think that we work for Nova Scotia Health and that our group is part of Nova Scotia Health. We work very closely with Nova Scotia Health, and of course, because Nova Scotia Health provides the healthcare in this province, it's a relationship that will be very close and that we will continue as long as we're a group. However, we are a separate nonprofit organization that has our own executive. We have our own, we have our own mission to accomplish outside of what Nova Scotia Health is trying to accomplish, and that is a concentration on the community as opposed to a concentration on, an actual workforce all across the province. So I think that also because I used to work for Nova Scotia Health and I was, visible at different facilities, people just assume that I took another position with Nova Scotia Health, but this is not Nova Scotia Health related. We are happy to have them as partners, but we are actually a community group and working for the community.
It's important to clear that up.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe you want to talk about what you guys are working on now, and maybe what you guys have planned in the near future.
Yeah, like I said, we can't control the number of doctors that the Department of Health and Wellness allots to our area. We can work hard to convince them that we need more, and that's what we're doing. But in the meantime, we are doing a lot of work on making sure that the community has the resources it needs. That looks like an information campaign in both an electronic and a hard copy version of resource cards to let people know what's available in their community. This is going to be healthcare professionals like social workers, dietitians, the Diabetes Education Center. We'll also have things like food bank and furniture bank information, seniors resources, and this information is going to be put on rack cards, and they're going to be made available for distribution at pharmacies, at the hospital, with healthcare providers to be able to distribute as needed. We did do a kind of a trial run at the office in Port Hawkesbury with just our social work and dietitian rack cards. The doctors there went through them in no time flat and asked for more, because a lot of the time you can have a conversation with somebody in a doctor's office, but they don't retain the information that you give them. But if you give them an actual card to say, this is who you can contact and this is what you can contact them for, they're more likely to recognize that and to use that information once they get home. So these are the types of resources that, in the absence of being able to get a doctor's appointment in time, that they might still be able to get some help with whatever health concern that they have. So we're working on those rack cards, which should be available, I would think, by the 1st of October. They're at the graphic designer right now. We are also starting a campaign with the schools. So it's recognized right across the province, probably right across the country, that the people most likely to stay in the community are people who are from the community. So we are gearing a project toward the local students in high schools and hopefully at some point middle schools to encourage them to pursue healthcare careers. A lot of them are very aware that you can become a doctor or a nurse, but are unaware that you can be a medical lab assistant, or you can be a sonographer, or you can be any number of different healthcare professions. So we've laid that out in a catalog that's very clear. These are your duties. This is the education that you need. These are the high school prerequisites. And hopefully presentation to that within the schools is going to lead to more local students pursuing healthcare professions, and after graduation, hopefully coming back home to practice. So those are the two bigger projects that I'm trying to get finished before the fall. We also have one of our biggest events, which is the Business of Medicine retreat. So we work with Doctors Nova Scotia, and we have a weekend-long retreat for Dalhousie medical students. This is one of the projects that allows us to get people into our community who might not otherwise even know that it exists. So this will be our third one. We take them around, we wine them, we dine them, we let them eat lobster, we take them sailing, we do whatever it is to really showcase what this area has to offer. And then Doctors Nova Scotia gives them a little bit of an overview of how to start a medical practice. It's been very, very successful. We've had a lot of interest from the beginning. We started off, nobody knew who we were. It's very difficult to contact Dalhousie medical students because of privacy issues. So we had a hard time getting people to come to it. The second year, we did not have any trouble getting people to come to it, and we actually had to take one extra because it was so popular. And this year we have a waiting list of over 45 people. And so we do know that it's working, at least getting our name out there. And at least one of the physicians is going to be doing some locum work in the area when she's done this next rotation. So is it finding full-time doctors? I don't know, maybe down the road. But it's certainly something that if the funding allows, it's getting people to come to Ayrshire, St. Peter's, Port Hawkesbury, who may otherwise never know that it exists, and showing them why it's great to live there. So I really think that it's of great benefit to the area and to the organization to bring in as many medical residents as possible. And so that's taking place the end of August.
It must be encouraging for you to get the response you've been getting to the rec cards and to that program with Dalhousie, showing that, the fruits of your labor are paying off.
It really is. We know that we have a lot of support from the community, but to be able to see the actual tangible results of the work that's being done is really encouraging. The doctors recruit doctors, and if they're happy with the area that they practice in and if they have the resources that they need, they're more likely to suggest this place to practice to their colleagues. So one of the reasons that we're making it so that we're able to give them the resources that they need, to give the patients the resources that they need, is because at the end of the day, it all goes toward the same goal. We're trying to make this place a good place to practice. That sometimes looks like bringing people in, but it sometimes just looks like making sure that resources are shared in the community.
And you know, the importance of what you're doing can't be, you know, underscored enough. And I guess the work continues because there's a need for these healthcare professionals.
I don't think that it's ever going to end. Work like this is never not going to be important, because the retention piece is as important as the recruitment piece. And if we're not doing everything that we can as a community to make sure that our healthcare providers are welcome and comfortable and enjoying their life here, then we can't expect them to stay, because we wouldn't if we weren't happy. So I think that as much as we do important work, it's something that can't be just isolated to projects and events. It's something that the whole community has to take part in. I happen to be the employee of this organization, and I do what I can to encourage people to do that. But the work of healthcare recruitment and retention is a job of a community, and it's a job of facilities and everybody who works there to make sure that the people who are coming in have what they need and that they can build a life here happily. So we really value the work that we do, and we hope that the community does too, but it's a partnership, and we hope that the partnership continues to strengthen as we go on.
Now, I know they recently opened a collaborative care clinic in Port Hawkesbury, and there's also one under construction in Antigonish. And I assume that facilities like that can help with what you guys are trying to accomplish.
Facilities like the collaborative clinic in Port Hawkesbury are hugely important. A lot of these physicians are young residents. They are used to having the latest technology. They're used to having very modern facilities to be able to practice in. The work that's been done at the Strait Richmond Hospital in the emergency department, that's a very attractive feature for a hospital, especially a community hospital, since a lot of them are, you know, they're on the older side. Strait Richmond is now a modern, you know, technologically advanced, well-staffed facility, which is really, really attractive to medical residents. Collaborative clinics are probably the most successful model in attracting physicians because they have so many in-house supports. And we do find that the turnkey method is something that a lot of the newer residents are more attracted to, rather than starting their own practice from scratch and hiring their own staff and everything like that. They can come into a collaborative clinic, they can pay whatever fees are necessary to have a patient panel to build on, to have colleagues there to work with, to have all of the allied health support staff that they need. And so something like that is going to always be really helpful to get people here and to hopefully have them stay.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much for taking time out of your day to answer these questions and come here to talk with us, and I appreciate that.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. I love to talk about the work that we're doing.